Mino Line Media presents the Business First Podcast.
Hi, all, and welcome to a new episode of Business First with Sonia Alleyne. I am your host, and today in studio we have restaurateur and venture capitalist Shane Corrodus, who is the owner of a new restaurant in Conyers, Georgia, called Elevation Kitchen and Cocktails. Welcome, Shane. How are you?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Very good. You are a restaurateur, but you're also a venture capitalist. And so, unlike a lot of folks, you probably had all of the data on what it would take to make a restaurant successful before you signed the papers to get started. What was it about the restaurant business, of all the businesses that you could have gotten involved in? What was it about the restaurant business that was particularly attractive for you?
Well, I'll tell you something interesting. Actually, I did not have all the data prior. Typically, what I do in the VC and private equity space is whatever company I'm looking to acquire, typically I get a business partner who has the set experience in that industry. And then from there, I would leverage my business acumen, because every business really checks and balances with their experience in that specific area. Unfortunately, when you partner with the wrong person, who doesn't do business the proper way, and you know how that goes, then that's not reflective of how we do business. So based on that, we had to dissolve that partnership, because I believe in honesty and transparency to do business the correct way. So naturally, there was that learning curve of zero restaurant experience myself personally, but also recognize early it's such a very sensitive industry that it's not one you could just pass off. So basically, I use and leverage my knowledge from all the other businesses, and restaurants comes with a lot of problems. In the VC space, typically we buy companies that have problems, hence why we buy it and put the right people in place and turn it around.
So more than just your business acumen, you were able to also use some of your cultural influences in this business as well. You are originally from Jamaica?
Correct, yes.
And you've also infused the restaurant with a cultural flavor, Jamaican flavor.
Correct,
as well. How has that worked for you as well in terms of the overall aesthetic and the overall culture in the restaurant?
Sure. Well, it actually works beautifully. Now, fun fact, I don't cook at all. I don't even boil water in real life. But I do know,
say typical Jamaican,
literally, right? So people think, you own a restaurant, that means you get experience cooking or you're great. I don't even boil water. I will burn water, right? But what I do know is to, again, partner with individuals who have that set experience in cooking. It's like anything else. Many times when you have that specialized knowledge, let's say a chef, most chefs, unfortunately, not all, most people get into business and say, well, I cook great, people love my food. Then open a restaurant and they quickly go down. That's why 90% of restaurants fail. It's not just about the cooking. It's literally a business that has to be run like a business, right? So in doing that, I knew that infusing some of, Jamaican type of Caribbean food with the quote-unquote American restaurant would be a pretty good fusion, because people like different things. And I figured putting it together like a hybrid, it would be pretty effective. And it's done well for us so far.
You bring up an excellent point. There are a number. We've all tasted really great food from people who have a great gift of preparing good food. And what do we always say? Oh, you should open up a restaurant, or you should start a business, or you should start a catering service. And so what would you say to someone who does have a great talent for cooking, is interested in business, but does not understand the restaurant business?
So I would definitely recommend, if they're going to go that route, manage expectations. First order of business, again, I would partner with somebody who knows business and have a good track record. So that way you can pretty much lean on their strengths. They can lean on your strengths, and together it's a beautiful collaboration, right? What one has, the other doesn't. So in my opinion, anything on the creative spectrum, it takes away from the operational spectrum, right? Remember, when you're creative, you naturally have to color outside the box, right? When you're operational, it has to be checks and balances. Few people, in my opinion, have the ability to do that continuously where it's sustainable, meaning some folks can do it for a while, then they get burnt out because you're really using both sides. I do think there's a small percentage where they're just as strong on the creative side as they're on the operational side, but I believe those folks are typically exceptions to the rule. So to answer the question directly, I would recommend that they partner with somebody who has the experience that they don't have and put their talents together. If they're going to go in the restaurant business, it's a lot of work.
One of the things that is important for restaurants to succeed is location.
Mhm.
And you chose Conyers, Georgia, which is, from what I understand, roughly 24 miles from Atlanta, the city of Atlanta. What was it about that location? Well, we know Atlanta is a hot spot for everything, for clubs, for music, for even for film right now. What was it about Conyers that you saw was a perfect location for your restaurant?
So let me give you a real practical example. Atlanta is also known for, let's say, beautiful women, right? Also known for a lot of Black people have nice and fancy cars, from the Rolls Royce to the Lamborghinis to the Bentleys. You see it all the time. Okay, so if I have a Rolls Royce, which I do, pay my child enough friends, the Lord bless. But here's the point: if I have a Rolls Royce and I go to Buckhead, I am one of many successful Black individuals who have a Rolls Royce. But if I go to, let's say, the outskirts, certain areas, there's still folks who have never seen a Rolls Royce in real life other than on TV, right? Same concept. Why not go to an area where you're not competing with everybody else? So you are going to stand out, right? And that we represent in terms of from the building, how we got at the building, what we did with it, to the level of service that we're offering and will continue to offer, to even seeing people dress code changing, that they're coming out more dressed, right? So in my opinion, when you do it that way, you're bringing something new, right? Hence why we call it elevation, to elevate everything and everybody around us. And most important, to also, not most, equally important, to also elevate ourselves. We should be getting better, all of us, from the janitor all the way up to ownership. And we should be getting better in every way also.
I agree. And I love the Bentley analogy, but also to that point, sometimes you can be in a location that's not ready for the elevation.
Yeah.
What was it about that particular place that you thought, you know what, we can bring elevation here and they're going to be responsive to it? And they have.
Sure.
So you did it correctly.
Yeah, and what you said a while ago is a great, great, great point. Like, you should really make a shirt and sign the name of that. That's true. You can bring it and they're not ready for it, right? That's where the product speaks for itself. Example, if you're accustomed to walking, let's say, barefooted, that's all you know. When shoes are introduced to you, you're going to resist shoes, but you're accustomed to walking barefooted. Now, the quality is if you can just get that person to put that shoes on once, just one time, and feel the difference of the comfort it brings. Once somebody feels something, they can't unfeel it. First time you fell in love, you can't not feel what that felt like. First time you were happy, first time you were excited, first time you got your heart broken, right? You'll always remember it. So the only way, one of the only ways, in my opinion, to really elevate individuals who don't want to be elevated is you have to at least get them to try the said product or try the said service. That only works if your product and or your service is actually good. If it's not, you're in trouble. So that's what we do.
So walk us through elevation. You talked about the building design. So tell us, what was it in the conceptualization of elevation that you brought to this space?
Sure. So we wanted to give the city of Conyers a downtown feel in terms of city of Atlanta downtown, a bucket feel in terms of Atlanta. And we wanted them to have the opportunity to experience something very similar to a downtown, to a bucket, without actually having to go downtown and to bucket. So that was a thought process there. If you have it right here in your backyard, then why not come and support it? And it's been great.
So I have two additional questions about your food and about service.
Sure.
What is exceptional or different about what you're offering in the food, and you talked about service was a big part of what makes you different?
So what makes me and us different is what I'm going to say to you right now. I'm supposed to tell you how exceptional the food is every time you come. I'm supposed to say how amazing the customer service is, and when you come, you'll always want to come back. But honesty and transparency is very important. The truth is, the food is exceptional sometimes. It's good sometimes. Other times it's been average. Those are the things that we're still working on. So we're now more towards the we are above good, give and take,
Mhm.
but we need to be at great and exceptional. Same thing with the service. I'd love to say, hey, the first time you come, it's going to feel like home. Now remember, I am giving not the best case scenario. I'm really averaging. You talk to other individuals, they'll say, oh no, I love it. The food was great, the service was great, and it worked out good, let's say on that particular day and or night. Uh, but if it's the next day and it's not consistent with the first day, it was great, then I can't count that, right? So we are going to get to the exceptional level. That's the commitment. When we have our meetings, when I have our meetings with the staff, I share with them, yes, I am your boss, but every boss has a boss. And my boss are the customers. I have to report to the customers. And my boss don't play. So we have to get this thing right because, again, we want that old school type of service at elevation. Again, hence the name elevation. And I'm really committed to that. And I really take that very seriously. A decision was made that there is no need for us to be in the hospitality business if we're not going to do it right. If not, we need to get out of it. But we are going to absolutely get it right. So that we're committed to.
So I love the fact that you are so honest and
Mhm.
transparent
Yeah.
about where you feel your service
Mhm.
is. And what is your measure for that? Because like you said, I'm sure on any day I could meet someone who
Mhm.
said elevation is the best place. You
Sure.
need to, that is the only place where I want to go
Mhm.
and have meals when I'm eating out.
Mhm.
But what is your measure that allows you to know that although people are coming in, it looks like, we're not having problems booking
Mhm.
people, we're not having any problems getting return guests.
Mhm.
What measure are you using to determine we're not exceptional yet?
Sure. The measure is consistency, right? It's kind of like
Okay.
some folks who go to the gym. They will go to the gym here and there. When they go, they have a great workout. They feel great. The next day, they don't go. And if they do go, it's not with the same intensity, right? So it's always fluctuating. Measure of excellence is sustainability. Every day should be consistent. Granted, little small mistakes here, little small mistakes there. We could live with those things because you might just tweak it and put systems in place. But my measure is no matter what day it is, no matter what time it is, no matter what event we're having, it should be consistently exceptional. That's how I measure it. And if you want to,
Right.
if you want a percentage on that, I would say 95% of the time, between 95 to 97% of the times, it should be exceptional. The 5 to 3% give and take, I am willing to accept that only if we're absolutely learning from those mistakes. And most important, that 5 to 3% should always keep going down, right? Because we're going for
Right.
100%. Whether it's
Right.
possible or not, that's what we're striving for.
Okay. But what I love is for people who are listening, right? And we find this often with small businesses. How is it that you train your staff? I've talked to restaurateurs
Mhm.
who have not really understood this concept that you
Mhm.
have of bringing the staff along to
Mhm.
make sure that they understand the reason that they need to be exceptional and
Mhm.
why that's important. What would you offer to anyone listening, whether it's a restaurant business or any other business, how to bring your staff along? You obviously have a very high standard for where you want to operate.
Sure.
How do you get buy-in and how do you get people who are servers, who are greeters, who are any level
Mhm.
of business to be
Right.
able to operate at your level?
Right. So great question. What I do is I make it personal. So in the meetings, I will share real examples and real situations. And it's really just this deep. We have customers who come to a restaurant and customers who go to restaurants all over the world. And I can assure you that there are customers who they're having the worst day ever. They're going through something, whether it's a breakup, whether it's depression, whether it's marriage. Some even coming suicidal in real life. If you have the ability to not know what somebody's going through, but offer such amazing service and experience that they're willing to extend their life even one more day, it's just that deep to me. Now, to some that may sound a little extreme, but to me it really is that extreme, right? So when you look at it that way and you treat everybody intentional, yes, sometimes as a server, we call our server ambassadors, you may do everything correct, but the customer is still mean or short or when you recognize, don't take it personally, part of your job is to bring an experience. Imagine if you committed to yourself that you realize this person is going through something. You're going to put your feelings aside in terms of how they're making you feel and commit that before they leave that door, they're going to be in a better mood. That's really what it's about, in my opinion, hospitality-wise, right? Then I also share with them the level of service that we're offering. Are you willing and open to inviting your friends, your mother, your father, your sister? Would you be proud of the service that you are actually offering? And if you can answer yes to both of those questions, then where we need to be. But if you're being honest and you know that that's not how you feel, and you don't take it that seriously, matter of fact, you're just serving because you need some money to make a job, we're not interested in that. We're really interested in everybody matters. Everybody counts. Everybody deserves the experience. That's what we're breaking down.
How long have you been in operation?
Since June of 2024. So last year.
I'm sorry, June?
Yeah, last year, June.
June of 2024. You also created experiences for your guests. You have music, you have sports nights. What goes into determining what type of experience you want to have on any particular night for your guests?
Like, for example, Mondays we have Celebrity Mondays, right? Where every Monday we have a celebrity who comes. Sometimes they'll perform, sometimes they'll just speak, to the customers. Who does not want to meet a celebrity? Who does not want to feel inspired? Who does not want to feel that person they saw on TV and heard on the radio for all these years? And they want to actually be in the same room with them. And we chose a Monday because for a lot of people, Monday is like the day where, oh my God, it's a Monday. I actually love Mondays, right? Because it means like a new start. But imagine after the weekend, you have something to lift you. Okay, you know something's coming for the Monday. So Celebrity Mondays. Tuesday, we do Taco Tuesday and karaoke, right? That's something where you're involved. You get to sing. Right, you get to sing and laugh. You get to, have a good time about that. So we want folks who enjoy participating. That's Taco Tuesdays. Then, of course, we have the Wind Down Wednesdays. That's where after work, you just want to wind down and relax and chill and have a good DJ, play some good music. Wind Down Wednesdays. On Thursdays, we now do elevation comedy. So now we have comedy nights. Some people just want to laugh, right? Forget their problems even, but for a while. On Friday, we have live bands. Same thing. Folks want to be entertained, hear some real life singing, get back in that good mood. Saturday, we have several different DJs who come and play. And then Sunday, we typically do day parties. So, as you notice, everything is somewhat different on each day. Right. And we try to get a feel of what our customers want. And some things, it's like you just test it out to see. Other things they will tell you. If you just talk to the customers, they will actually tell you what they want. It's like the easiest cheat code ever in life. They will tell you, hey, I want this, I want, and you just do it. You keep hearing the same thing over and over again. It's demand and supply. You just supply. Something
totally unrelated or may not be. Who was Shane at 5 years old?
Funny you chose that age. Talk to my mother, she will tell you at 5 years old, I told her that I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. No, I didn't say multi. I said millionaire. I didn't know about multi at that time. I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to retire you early and I'm going to be successful. That was me at 5. From the age of 5, I knew what I wanted to be. And I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica. So my theory is I grew up poor. So, well, to me, poor. And I know poor is relative. So I'm being careful to not, poor in Jamaica, somewhere else is like a white boy, right? So to me, I grew up relatively poor. And I knew at the age of 5 what I wanted and also knew what I didn't want. And I was willing to commit to getting where I needed to get. So
what do you think drove
at
that
5?
At 5. And I believe that in terms of how you present yourself. What do you think drove that? Was it your circumstances? Was it where you were? Were you seeing other things?
Your poverty scared the hell out of me. What wasn't natural? Bathroom with no doors. Didn't have a telephone. Had running water, thank God, but it was cold. Get up to go to school in the morning, then you got to take that cold shower. Now we know it's good for you, right? But back then it's like torture.
Right, exactly.
Right? Then, even though we grew up relatively poor, I went to a private school in Jamaica. And they have private schools, they have public schools, just like up here. But in Jamaica, even though it's private, they're not all like the private schools up here, where it's like the who is who go there. So with that quote unquote private school that I went to, now you have the other kids, and you're seeing a different level of lifestyle, the cars they pull up in, how they treat those who don't have money, so forth and so on. So I took all that in and decided, okay, I'm going to be better. And that's what I did.
And what was your study? What did you decide to study?
Yeah, so at first I studied psychology. So I have a bachelor's in psychology. Also have a MBA in management and marketing. Then I am ABD, upper dissertation from a doctorate in business. I wanted to do the dissertation, have a doctorate, but I got rich, so I kind of decided to just took too much time.
Why psychology?
Well, my father's a psychologist. So he's a psychologist and he
Okay.
was also a college professor, just retired recently. So,
Mhm.
as you know, a lot of time kids tend to walk or attempt to walk in their father's footsteps. And
Yeah.
I actually, after doing my bachelor's, I actually started doing my master's in clinical psychology. And to be
Wow.
honest, I don't know how to humbly say I was actually gifted at it because that's what the professors would tell me, right? But it's just me naturally being me. And I've always had discernment. I believe in God. I pray to God for wisdom. He gave it to me. I'm able to see things that people think is like prophetic. But again, true story back to the money thing. I worked for a company called Youth Villages. And basically, as a counselor, we're supposed to counsel the parents to help them to handle these bad kids because some of these kids were bad. Now, the whole theory behind that was, yeah, you can counsel the child, but if you don't have the parents to implement, then no
Right.
matter how much you counsel the child, it doesn't make a difference because the parents are the one implement or don't implement. So we were supposed to counsel the parents. Now, in counseling the parents, when you're counseling them, you hear what's going on. When you set them aside, you hear something different. There were two main issues that I recognized that these folks had appearance. It was lack of money or lack of sex. In one of those two orders. Literally. Yeah. Top two issues, the divorce, the problems, lack of money, lack of sex. Sometimes the lack of money was a problem with the lack of sex, so forth and so on. So right there, I decided most of these people are having all this issue because they have no money. Money seems to be the problem. And at that point, I was making some small amounts of money. I said, absolutely not. I'll not live this life. I transitioned, got my MBA, started doing business. And what I recognize is not about the money. Money is a tool. It's what you can do with it. So from there, and even earlier, I committed to making money and helping as many people as possible. So that's the main, it's all that long thing I told you. It goes back to the baseline is the money wasn't about me, ever, actually. The money was always about what I can use it to do and to help other people. And that's what I do right now in the VC space. Whenever I buy a company, I take on partners. So these partners can also be part owner of A or B or C or D. And I love partnerships.
More right after this.
Was your decision to go to business school, was the goal after to become a venture capitalist? Was that part of the goal, or was it to work in a business that was going to give you access to certain things?
You asked great questions. I didn't even know what a venture capitalist was.
Okay.
Literally. I had no clue, right? Again, difference between going to certain schools and Ivy League schools, right? You go to Ivy League
Right.
schools, they will tell you, not
Yeah.
prepare you to work with somebody else. They're going to prepare you to own your own company, to start your own company. It's
Right.
just like so different, but that's a whole nother podcast session, right? So no, I just knew that I did not want to be just a lawyer or just a doctor or just a pharmacist or just all these things that people wanted me to be. My question was, how can I actually be all of those things? VC space. Who think own the hospitals? Not the doctors, but the capitalists.
Right.
Who own, like, just go through any business for the most part, anything that's huge, VC.
Mhm.
So that's how I was able to accomplish that. I wanted to do all of those things. And I recognized the way to do it was that. There was another Jamaican, his name is David Penton. He was the youngest senator at the time when he was in Jamaica. He's the first venture capitalist who I knew personally. We had a business where we'd rent out all the exotic luxury cars, the Bentleys, the Rolls Royce, all that kind of stuff back in 2007, 8, those years. And he rented a rig from us. That's how he and I, became friends. He showed me what he did. I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. And he mentored me and thought it was a good thing for me to do. And from there, took off. So God has been good.
Yes, indeed. What are some of your business philosophies? And I ask that for people who are listening. You're obviously someone who um, has demonstrated that it doesn't matter where you are in terms of how to get to to accomplish your goals or to get where you'd like to get. what are some of your philosophies or sayings or mantras that have moved you through to this point?
Sure. Honesty and transparency. Honesty is I ask you a question, tell me the truth. Transparency is I don't ask you the question you know I should have asked, and you proactively tell
Mhm.
me what I should know. Live by that in terms of business, relationships, friendships, all of the above. I do believe with honesty, you can build any foundation on that. All right. When it comes to business, if you're not being honest with yourself, and if the people around you are not being honest, then you are already starting way behind. Right.
Right.
When I'm buying a company, I'm intentionally buying companies that are in financial trouble. That's why they want to sell most of the times, or they're just tired and they want to retire.
Mm.
I tell these sellers, hey, I am going to buy this company. Just tell me the truth of everything that's wrong. What do most of them do? They still try to put a nice, pretty bow tie
Right.
and end up hurting themselves.
Right.
The reason I want to know what's wrong is the sooner I know the problems, the sooner I
Yeah.
can fix them. So I'm going into it knowing that it has problems. Again, hence why I thank God for wisdom. I'm uniquely great for the restaurant industry because the restaurant business comes with a lot of no. I eat problems for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's all I've done for umpteen years. So if there's no problem, I don't know. I'm confused, huh? No problem. No, that affects my love life too. That's a whole different discussion. Oh, have mercy. I'm looking for the problem. I'm just coming.
So you are a problem solver. Is that your superpower?
Yes, it is. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That.
And it is the superpower
Mhm.
for that's how business survives, right? That's how you have to be able to solve problems. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, but not just solve it. You have to realize what it really is. Problems is a
Mm.
it's a facade. Like it's supposed to scare you. The minute you realize that the money is in the solution, you're gonna look at problems differently. Where there's a problem, there has to be a solution to the said problem. Whatever the solution is, that's where your money is. So if you know that problem is going to bring you money, the whole time that problem was chasing you, once you realize that's where the money is, you're going to turn around and start chasing it, and something very interesting happens. The problem start running away from you. You got to run after it. So don't come back anymore. No, no, literally. I mean, that's
Right. When you find
really
the
what it is.
solution and the problem becomes, it
Yeah,
can become a passion.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
That's where your money is. Like, please come so we can get some money. So you look at it that way, you don't get the anxiety, you don't get the frustration, you expect problems to come. And if you check in any industry, why do you go to the doctor? You have a problem. Why do you go to the therapist? You have a problem. Why do you go to eat? You got a problem. What are the problems? Chest pain, hospital. To eat,
Yeah.
you're hungry. Problem. Therapist, you feel depressed. I mean, everything is problem solutions. That's it.
Talk to us about wisdom. You mentioned that a
Mhm,
few times. There's a lot of emphasis on knowledge.
mhm,
A lot of us don't really talk about wisdom.
mhm.
Talk about the importance of having wisdom in your decisions
You
around
ask
business and the
great
work that you
questions.
do.
I care nothing about knowledge in real life. Let me clarify. I care nothing about knowledge in real life that's not applied. Matter of fact, that makes you worse than a person who don't have the knowledge because you have the knowledge and you don't apply it. But that's human form. I always remind people I'm only half human. No, the real power is for me, God. And no matter where I go, I'm not a preacher, I'm not a saint. Matter of fact, I'm a big
Mm.
time sinner. But God is real. That's in every day. Now, having said that, I
Right.
pray to God for wisdom. And wisdom is something different than just knowledge. It gives you a whole different level of understanding. And I'll use a very same example every single time because a very simple, practical, but amazing example. And I will share with people if you show me the seed, I can tell you the fruit. In other words, if
Mm.
it's an orange seed can only bring forth oranges, not apples, not
Right.
pineapples, not strawberries, oranges. So therefore, it may seem prophetic when I see the seed today, and
Mhm.
I can tell you years later what's going to come from that. It seems like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
but only one thing can come from it oranges. It's an
Right.
orange seed. That's what wisdom is. It's able to break something and make it so practical. So it's so simple but it's so amazing, right? The person who is working out diligently today, if they continue, I can tell you years on the line what they're going to look like. You understand? The person who's eating healthy, I can tell you how much pound they're going to really lose. But if you're going up and down, therein lies a problem. So that's what wisdom, it just really breaks it on a whole different level. But as I always mention to people also, wisdom comes with its cons. Makes you very lonely. Folks don't understand you.
Well, you seem like you are, well, I was going to say you seem like you're early in your career, even though you have a lot of experience. And I say that because I can tell that there's a lot that you have planned or a lot that you'd like to do. Tell us about some of the things you'd like to do.
I actually retired when I was 40. Actually
You
retired when I was
retired
40.
when you were
Yeah.
40.
And the next 2 years, I think, was one of the most miserable 2 years. So at 42,
After your retirement?
oh, hell yeah. I came out of retirement.
Yeah.
I had too much left in me. You get what I'm saying?
And you're too young.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I had too much. Like the first week is cool. Second week, you travel here, you go there.
Right.
And then you're like, okay. Because when you have more to give, how dare you hold that? How many more
Right.
lives can you touch? How many more other people can you help? Right? So the retirement thing, I'll never do it again. I'll retire when I die.
Right.
Mhm.
So what can we expect from you? I see you're going to be teaching. You have to be teaching at some point or doing some sort of master class or having some sort of professorship. Do you want to be in the classroom? Do you want to mentor? Are those some of the things that you see yourself doing?
So there was a time I was very passionate about everything you said a while ago. And I used to do it. Some motivational speaking, some workshops. The problem is I was trying to save everybody. Can't save everybody. So now if I'm to do that, I'm going to qualify each person because I've come to recognize that time we can never get back. So
Right.
if I'm trying to save everybody, and if I'm trying to save everybody, I'm exerting a lot of time, right? Resources, emotions. When you're doing all of that and only a handful of people get it, that's a lot of time that you lost. So what I do now, in order to do what you just mentioned, I qualify that person. So if you really want the mentorship, I'm going to recommend that you read a book. And then when I call on you next time, if you can't tell me about the book, then you're not qualified.
Well,
So that's
I'm
all I do.
glad you mentioned that. What are some of the books that you recommend that people read? And what are you reading right now?
So I'll tell you some great books, and I'll tell you some of the books I'm reading again. I'm reading again Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I read that many times, I'll keep doing that. For somebody who is just starting to read, I recommend a 2-hour audiobook called The Science of Getting Rich. It's only 2
Oh,
hours
that was
audiobook if you want to get it, right? There's another easy to read book called Soar with Your Strengths and Manage Your Weaknesses. And it pretty much talks about when you put more investment in your strengths versus I'm good at this thing, I'm great at this, so let me not work on that. Let me spend all my time working on things I'm weak on. No, you want to actually
Right.
put more time in your strengths and manage your weaknesses because your strength will be so powerful, it will actually overpower the weaknesses. It's like, it's going to sound weird. Think of, for me, of course, it would be a woman. So think of a woman who's not that cute in the face, but her body is amazing, right?
Mhm.
Guess what? She's number 10. Right? You could think of a guy who he may be ugly like Shabba. You know what Shabba is? A Jamaican? Yeah,
Yes.
man, he could ugly like Shabba. But don't let you have no muscles, no
That's so wrong.
they coming, right? I'm just saying, right? Or
Okay.
again, strengths. Think of somebody who doesn't have the face, doesn't have the body, none of that, but has a personality, the charisma, and you will see them walking together. You'll be like, oh, that person get that person. I assure you, that person has a strength that they're focused on. So I think we should spend more time focusing on the things that we're naturally good or great at and just really put energy into that while we manage our weaknesses. Again, that doesn't mean that we disregard our weaknesses. You just want to
Right.
manage it. So that would be the recommendation for that.
Okay. I like that. Those are good. Those are great books.
Oh,
And
sorry.
so if
I'm so sorry. Let me give you one more book.
no.
So Science of Getting Rich, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill.
Mhm.
Another good one is if you're talking entry level, who they don't read at all, right? Then the one I told you, so if your strengths and manage your weaknesses. If you're talking about folks who read, they just need to read some different level type stuff. For example, somebody who may not like what they feel like is a business book, The Alchemist. That's also
Oh,
a good book. It's a story, but has so many great
Yeah.
nuggets, or
Yeah.
The Richest Man in Babylon story, but great nuggets. So that's what I recommend.
Okay. I'm actually going to note the Richest Man in
Oh
Babylon.
yeah,
I've heard that
you love
one
that. Yeah, it's very good.
before.
You love it.
What can we expect next? We're working on elevation,
Mhm,
and so we want people to come by
mhm,
and see what you're doing there. How can they reach you? How can they see
mhm.
you? How can they make
So,
reservations to
w-
support your
w-
restaurant?
before I tell that, you asked me what can you expect next. You can expect this month, kind of October, some very, very, very disgruntled employees.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am. You can expect that. You can expect that I may be one of the most hated owner come next month. You can expect that. Why? Well, very simple. I love all my employees, I really do. Love, care, we have given many chances. But there comes a point where you have to use the opportunity given for good to elevate, or you squander it. Now we're at the judgment day. For those who believe in God, know there's a judgment day. We're at the judgment day. And the judgment day is not something I'm looking forward to, but we owe it to
right,
our customers. So therefore, I made it very clear to my staff that anybody who has not elevated, they will not be with elevation. So I don't fire people, people fire themselves. And we have to know that it's all about the customers, period. And if we're not doing
right.
what we need to do, then we have to make those changes. Now, some of them still have some time to do the quick turnaround, but if not, they will be working elsewhere, not elevation. And again, it's not a shame thing. It's the customers deserve excellent service,
Right.
period. And there is no way
Right.
around that. And it's just as simple because we owe it to the
No,
customers.
I totally understand, and I get that those are really hard decisions for
Mhm,
business people
mhm.
to make.
Yeah,
Um, this is September, and so obviously it sounds as if you've given people warnings or you've given them some benchmarks that they need
absolutely.
to
Yeah.
operate on.
Mhm.
Um,
Back to
yeah,
advice that you mentioned earlier, when you mentioned about what other business people should know, they should also know to run a
yeah,
business, you don't want to get cold and heartless. You don't want to do that. You also
right,
want to recognize it's not a popularity contest. They will love you as long as you're doing what they want to do. But if that's what
right.
you're in it for, your business will fail. And by the way, when it fails, all this love you thought they were giving you, they will quickly go to another job and you are not even thought of. No, I know that sounds cynical, but you have to have a true balance of when you're doing something, you're doing it for the right reasons. Elevation
Mm,
is about folks elevating. We should never
right.
be okay with not being the best that we can be and offering the best that we can offer. So, as managing owner, I have to make that call in terms of when we have done the training, when we've given the chances, when we have done the kumbayas, when we have, and recognize that the customer don't care anything about nothing that we're talking about right now. They came for that amount of time and they're spending their money expecting a certain level of service. And we have a
Mhm.
duty, literally, to ensure that our customers are taken care of. If not, we shouldn't take
Right.
their money. We shouldn't take their tips. We shouldn't. You understand what I'm saying to you? So again, I know that
Mhm.
sounds extreme, but that's where we want to take it back to the real old school when restaurants treat you like royalty. Every customer mattered. We have to get back there. So that's very important.
Yeah,
No.
I
Mhm,
don't disagree. I
mhm,
have complained about the lack of customer
yeah,
service in every
mhm,
industry
mhm,
that currently exists. And I mean, I'm old enough where, when I worked in a department store, you were
mhm.
trained before you got on the floor in terms of how to treat people. Like you didn't just take an application and then just go straight to the floor.
Right.
So there's no training anymore. There's a lot of things that are amiss in terms of how customers are being treated. And so I actually applaud your efforts, and I hope that your team understands the points that you're making. And I think that may be the hardest part
Mhm,
for business owners, to be able to convey the importance of this. It's not me not liking you or me being hard on you.
mhm,
It's me telling you this is what's required
mhm,
for us to have
mhm,
for you to have your job.
mhm.
Then we've got to maintain this certain level
And also
of
and
excellence.
again making it practical. So uh,
Right.
whenever we are paying them, I use the same practical example. Hey, if you are owed X amount, would you be okay with me giving you a percentage of what you're owed? And time again, when it's payday, I just give you X amount less, right? Not only would you be all the way upset, you absolutely would more than likely leave, right? But it's the same thing. If we are giving customers partial treatment, then what are we going to expect? We are actually robbing the customer, like literally. Just like if I take some of your money that you work for, I'm robbing you. So a lot of times you have to really make it plain to them, just generally speaking, because sometimes folks are doing things they're not realizing the impact it really has, right, on somebody. So we try to make sure that's good. So that's the tough part. The great part, on a lighter note, is what can they look forward to? Great service, good and great and consistent food, great and consistent entertainment, right? Like anything else, this too shall pass, because there have to be an awakening to actually get the desired results. And then when you have your A team and everybody's running on all cylinders, you are going to see a whole difference. And elevation is actually contagious, right? Just like non-elevation is like cancerous, but you have to make that hard turn. And we believe we're given more than enough time now for all of us. And by the way, when I'm saying that, that's not just the employees, that includes me.
Right. It's, everybody has to elevate, right? It's at all levels.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to coming through and experiencing your customer service at some point.
I'd love that.
And how can we, what are your socials for you and or the restaurant, so that we can follow your progress, we can follow the restaurant and support it?
Thank you. So Instagram, that's Elevation Conyers. So Elevation Conyers City. For the website, it's elevationconyers.com. I believe Facebook is the same thing. Elevation Conyers. I believe everything's under Elevation Conyers. And so we try to keep it simple. And remember, we have a restaurant. We have a cigar lounge. That's same building, separate side. We have the extractors there, so you don't smell all that smoke and all type of good stuff. We have that for those who like cigars, for the cigar connoisseurs. Then we have the patio. Those who like to be outdoor and indoor, or inside patio and an outside patio. So we try to make sure we have enough for everybody.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you so much, Shane. This was a masterclass. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you. You asked great and fantastic questions. And your hair looks very nice. Whatever you did a good job, and it looks great. Look like a superstar over there.
You were a true Jamaican man.
Well, I tell you honesty and transparency. I couldn't see the hair looking, I'm not saying it looks great. That's amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
and thank you for being here. We really appreciate you here and sharing.
And I appreciate
it. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back again next week with another great guest. Take care.
The Business First podcast is hosted and produced by Sonia Alleyne. Executive producer Ken Johnson. Find the Business First podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcast. On social media on IG at business_first_podcast. Follow the Mean Old Line Media Podcast Network on IG at Mean Old Line Media. Get the Mean Old Line Media app in the App Store or Google Play. The Business First Podcast is a Mean Old Line Media production.